Hello, this video will talk about creating a data pipeline, and we're going to do this in Tableau Prep. Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. So the goal is going to be to obtain this summary table, which is the teen fertility rate for Minnesota for the year 2021. So we talked about this in class. We have this broken out by the mother's race. So we have 4 races here identified in Minnesota. Now, recall what the original data looked like. The original data was for a variety of counties across the United States and also a variety of years here. So we're going to have to do a filter action to identify just Minnesota and then 2021. The teen fertility rate, remember, was calculated by taking the teen births divided by the teen population, female population. And if I wanted to do a summary across, say, these 2 counties, what I would have to do is sum the teen births together and then sum the teen population together, like we talked about in class, and then do the rate calculation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be doing this in Tableau Prep, as I mentioned. We're going to start with a first step, will be a clean step. Notice that the county state information is contained in a single field. So I'm going to create a new field or create a mutate action here to identify just the state. So I need as we talked about in class, the right 2 characters of this field will give me the state. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say create calculated field. The new variable is going to be named state. We're going to be using the right function. So if we identify the right function here, here's an example over here on the right that shows you how to use that function. I want to work with the variable county state, and then I want the last 2 digits. So this has to be a (2) here. If the function is not being implemented correctly, you'll see an error down here, and then information about that error is provided as well. So we want a 2 there. Oops, pull that up a little bit, and that'll tell you now that that calculation is valid. So let's go ahead and apply that, save that. You can see what the changes were here on the left, and then maybe we should identify or label this step. So we'll call that a mutate for state. All right. Now the next thing is to do some filter actions to reduce down just to the state of Minnesota and also the year 2021. So I'm going to do a filter value here, and I'm going to say state now is equal to Minnesota. And this is a string variable here, so we want quotes around that. Again, this calculation looks like it's valid. And you're going to see that I'm going to go from about 6,000 rows down to 111 rows here. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is just get year 2021. All right, so I'm going to do another filter action on year. And that is going to be on 2021. Now this is a numeric variable here, so I don't need the quotes. Calculation is valid, apply that, save. Again, you can see the actions that were taken over here at this particular step. Let's label that step. So this is a filter for Minnesota and 2021. Now what we need to do is obtain the sum across the different races for the number of births and then also the teen population. So I'm going to do an aggregation step here. I'm going to want to get the sum of teen births. So let's drag that into the aggregated fields box. And what this is going to do is give me a total for the number of births in Minnesota for the information that we have. This is not broken out by mother's race yet. So we want to do a group by mother's race. So we'll drag the mother's race into the group fields. And now you can see I can get that breakout for each of the different races that are provided. Okay, we also need the sum of the teen female population. So let's drag that into the aggregated fields. Okay, that looks like it's all the information that I need for the aggregation step, which was getting the sums. Now what I need to do is the calculation for the rate. All right, so let's go ahead and add another clean step to this. Maybe label this step This is where we got the sums. Now I want to do a create a calculated field, which is going to be for the rate. So let's call this teen fertility rate. And what I need to do there is to take, I believe it was 1,000 times the sum of teen births divided by the sum of teen female population. Okay, so use the tab complete options there to help you. If you noticed, I have an error right now because this parenthesis here has not been closed. So let's go ahead and close that. Now it says that calculation is valid. Save that. This has been provided on the left side of my table because that's what happens when you do a mutate. So let's drag it over to the right side so it's on the far right side of my table. Okay, that looks correct. Let's label this step. So this was another mutate for, mutate for the rate. And then finally we can get the output if we want. And that's that final table that we talked about wanting. Now this entire process here is called a data pipeline. And the advantage of doing a data pipeline is this is for Minnesota, but let's suppose that I wanted to work with a state, say New York. I could go back to the intermediate step in my pipeline, okay, and instead of filtering on Minnesota, I could filter on New York. Okay, so now let's apply that. Now at this intermediate step, I'm actually filtering on New York and 2021. So I better change that in my label. But if I go back to the end of this pipeline, that update will automatically be done and will be pushed forward so that my output now, okay, is for the state of New York, not for Minnesota. So the advantage here is that the pipeline allows you to go back to these intermediate steps and easily make changes or additions, okay? And again, that's real easily done with Tableau Prep because of the changes being identified here at every step. You can just go in and edit each of those changes. Okay, that's all I have then for the data pipeline stuff in Tableau Prep. Thank you.